Welcome to Artists Supporting Artists. I'm Iz, an artist on a mission to speak to all kinds of people about their creative journey. On this week's episode, I'm on location. Hayley Gillespie invites me into her studio so we can talk all things about her being a full-time artist, what she is or isn't working on right now, and also about being protective with the fumes that you're using in your studio. Hayley is such a big inspiration to me and also an amazing friend. So this episode meant a lot to me.
So welcome to Artists Supporting Artists.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for having me here. It's so beautiful. We're going to have to do like a video tour later. So I'm going to ask you the first question that I usually ask everybody.
Okay.
And that is, what does creativity look like to you?
Creativity to me is doing something that comes when I say totally from you, like it's processed, whatever it is, whether it's a flower, a building, an idea, like it's processed through you and comes out as something that you would do. So it's basically showing the world how you see it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Actually, I completely see what you see what you're saying.
I don't know if I said that in a very good way,
no,
but yeah.
I think you did. Like you take what you see. Your heart feels it, and then you show it to other people how your heart has felt it.
Yes, that's
really.
That's much better answer.
But yeah, because I feel like I very much say that my art is from my soul, and it's very difficult being an artist because you're very vulnerable. And I think, it's because you're showing the world how you see it.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's really special.
Yeah, I do too. I think that is the point of being an artist.
And I think if anybody saw your art and then met you, they'd be like, connect the dots. Like, you meet the person and then you see the art, and then you think, actually, that's completely matching the dots up. So tell me where it started. Where did it all begin? You can start at birth if you want.
Okay, so this is my first real memory. So one of my main influences when I was little, and I mean 3 or 4, was L.S. Lowry, which is really kind of miserable art, really, that I just love. The Matchstick Men and Matchstick Cats and Dogs, and that song was in the charts at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you have to listen to it. It's very catchy. And anyway, I just really loved L.S. Lowry's work, and I remember trying to do little drawings of it. And then my mum was pregnant with my sister, and they were stripping wallpaper off the spare room, and they said, "Oh, you can draw all over the walls on this one occasion until we re-wallpaper."
My dad made us do that once too. Yeah.
And I just remember drawing all these great big things, and maybe they weren't big, they were just little. And I remember drawing this big Humpty Dumpty, and I just thought, okay, when I grow up, I want to be an artist.
Yeah.
But my neighbour, he was really into Thomas the Tank Engine, and his dad was a train driver. He was like, when I grow up, I want to be a train driver. And my other really close friend was like, when I grow up, I want my own dance school. And we all grew up and did those things. And so I think it wasn't until that I started teaching art, and I'd say to kids, what do you want to do? And they were like, I don't know. And I was like, I kind of thought everyone just knew straight away. And even, my adult friends were like, I still don't 100% know what I want to do. So I've forgotten the question.
Where did it all start?
Oh, yeah, so that's where I just remember having this feeling of I want to grow up and be an artist.
Yeah. So how did you make that become a reality?
So I did go to the London College of Furniture and do art diploma. But they were like, this is not really the kind of artwork we want coming out of this college. And so I left there after a couple of years, and then I started painting and selling stuff in Greenwich Market, Camden Market. And I did that for 7 years, and then this lady came up to me and she was like, I've got a theatre company, would you do sets and props and costume design for me? And so I kind of just... It was like the olden days where you didn't have to necessarily have a university degree.
Yeah, you just fell into it.
Yeah, and you just kind of attracted people, and you're in an arts market.
Yeah.
And people would just go, hey, do you want to do this? And, there was no YouTube. I remember saying yes to things and then being like the day before, oh my god, I just said yes to things because I need the money. And I got no idea how to do this, but I'll just have to make it happen.
Yeah.
And basically it was just done on like some kind of weird willpower because we had no internet, just do it that way.
Yeah, so good. So good. So how did you find your style? Like, where did that come from?
So it's really weird. I was thinking about that recently, and I was thinking, I just knew how I wanted my style to be, like from a child.
Yeah.
And I just remember the 70s, which is when I was born, and then the colours were really like olivey green and browns and rust, and I just remember thinking, I just want like all these really clean,
where's the
colours.
colour?
And like I want the colours to be cleaner, and and I just had like a really strong idea in my head around the age of like 10 of what kind of colours I really wanted to work with, and I just had a visualisation in my head of how I wanted my work to be from a young age, and then I just worked towards that.
Wow. Yeah, and do you think you've achieved it?
I'm never totally happy.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But in general, it's colourful. So that's a tick.
It's funny, like, because I'm not necessarily a totally colourful person, like, but that's just how I work. I just really work with colour.
Yeah, no, and they're beautiful. They're so beautiful. Like, I just feel whenever I see a piece, even pulling up to your house today, I was like, I'm in the right place. Like, I didn't even have to query it. I was like, no, like your little on your like garage gate, the little like acorns. You know, you've got the top.
Right.
I was like, yep, I'm in the right place. So, what would you say is something that you struggle with being a full-time artist?
Probably just doing everything. Sometimes I do feel like admin can take over. Like, you can be really, really busy, and then you've got all these emails to do, and sometimes every single day you think, oh my god, like I've spent like till lunchtime just doing admin, and I haven't even started painting yet. All the paintings built out. Just really fitting everything in it can be difficult.
Well, like I was saying to you earlier, I find that I'm doing everything but painting.
Yeah. It can be like that. You can be doing meetings, setting up work for the future, but then already having work to do and thinking, and the thing is, I can't employ someone to go and quote jobs for me because they could never know how much that would be. Because until I look at it and have some understanding, and that has to kind of be from you as the artist to be able to do that. It's hard to delegate lots of stuff to other people.
Yeah, I get that 100%. Like, I just feel also with art being a vulnerable thing, it's very hard to let other people in to help you.
Yeah.
And I think, like, because I've had my partner and everything just say, like, let me help you, let me edit this video, let me do this, and it's like, yes, but this is how I'm being presented to the world, and even though my art world is very small, I always want to be putting my best foot forward.
Absolutely,
as an artist, and I've always been that way. I'm very much a perfectionist, very much, if it's going to take me 50 hours, it'll actually take me 100, because I'm just,
Honestly, I think
constantly.
that too. And that's the same with quoting. Like, you want to quote a fair price, but you know that it's always going to take longer than what you think it is.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah, and you don't know what's going to happen during that process. You might run out of paint, you might...
Or it's just as well, it's not like a process where you go A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
No.
It could be like A, B, 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 B,
Z.
A.
Yeah.
Because it's art, so it's not like a formulated thing.
Yeah.
Like other things might be.
And I feel like no matter how long you've been doing it for or not been doing it for, there's always something comes up and you're like, oh, wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. Or just doesn't have that.
Not feeling it.
Yeah, it's just not quite right. Doesn't have the right expression, or it doesn't. The thing I always think is, that just doesn't have like a piece of my soul in it yet. Like it's not got like that breath into it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit dead at the moment, and
Yeah.
I need to find a little way to put that little bit of life into it.
Exactly. Yeah, I just find that, with my latest piece, it looked exactly how I thought it would. But it wasn't right.
Just sometimes that little spark, that
Yeah.
little X factor thing that
Yeah.
you can't say what it is, but you know when it's there and you know when it's not.
And, Dom said to me that it's because it wasn't your idea, because he gave me the idea.
Right.
And I loved the idea.
So maybe all you needed to do with that idea was make it yours.
Yeah.
But you hadn't
It's what I thought I'd done.
like everyone, yeah, and
You
that's,
know?
yeah.
It was just like, because I was just talking about something to do with snowboarding, something to do with the winter coming up, because I do want to, like, my
Right.
goal is to, like, work with snowboard brands. Like, I want my art on a snowboard.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So I want to start doing that, and we were talking about it, and there's, a really popular phrase of pray for snow. And so I was saying to Dom, because, he's been in the snowboard industry his whole life, so, like, what's something that you do to pray for snow? And he was like, well, I don't know, we sleep with spoons underneath our pillows and stuff. But I was like, okay, but would that resonate to other people? And he was like, no, it's just a thing that we used to do at the shop.
Okay.
Or like wear your
my thing.
or like wear your underwear inside out, or something crazy. So I was like, well, I can't really put that on a painting, can I? Because I don't think it would really resonate. So he was like, why don't you do like a palm tree in an ice cube?
Yeah, because
And
you're
it
in
melted.
the tropics right
Exactly.
now.
And I was like, this is amazing. And I had it in my head, and I did a sketch, and I was like, I love this. And I was going through it, and I was loving it. And then it got to the point where I was like, this is finished, and I don't love it.
But you know what? You'll probably revisit that idea because one moment you've just had this epiphany of how, I can do that idea, but I just need to do it, in your special way.
Tweak it.
Yeah,
tweak it
like
a bit.
through your eyes.
Yeah, 100%.
A bit more like, but I mean, it's gorgeous. But yeah, I know what you mean when you're just not feeling that it's really truly representing how you see the world.
Yeah, and it was just really interesting that he said that, because I was like, God, I thought it was my idea, but actually it wasn't. And now with this next piece that I'm doing, I'm loving it, and I hope it stays that way. But I think you can just tell at the beginning of a piece if it's going to be a good one or not. But then actually others sometimes surprise you as well.
I get to a stage of like 3/4 finished, and then I'm like, it's okay and everything, but I haven't got the ending of the story. And then I actually I like going for walks, and that's when I'll just be pondering on it on my walk, and then I normally have this epiphany moment where I'm like, that's just what it needs to tell that story.
Yeah.
'Cause I do like each artwork to tell a story.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, so instead of I have illustrated books, but I like one picture to tell one whole story.
Yeah, I think you do that very well.
Thank you.
I think you look at your work, and even though it's something that I've never really seen before, it's very much like you know what it's trying to say. You don't have to. It's not. I feel like a lot of other pieces, it can be taken. Well, yours too, actually. It can be taken in different ways. With yours, it's very deliberate in what you're trying to say, and I think you have a clear voice, a clear vision for your pieces, and I think that's why they are so good.
So sometimes I do, right from the very beginning, have this exact idea, and that can develop whilst I'm painting it. But sometimes I do this thing which I quite enjoy doing, and when I have taught art, I try to kind of teach this as much as you can, and just not think about it, and just do something really instinctive, and don't worry about it, don't ponder on it, but just keep working on instincts, and then something comes together that you're not even expecting. And that's so I either have a really clear vision or I go that way.
And I think for me also, when it comes to, because I'm still trying to define what my work looks like, and because I think you've inspired me a lot with this, because I look at your work and I know it's yours, and I want people to do the same for mine.
Yeah, you can do that definitely with yours.
Yeah, well,
yeah, absolutely. I've had a look at all your work that's online, and I was like, yeah, you have a style.
Yeah, and so I want to keep that style, and I think to keep that style going, I sometimes have to defer and do something completely out of the realm that maybe I don't even post on social media, and just to get something different out of my brain to then be able to just to remember that I can do other styles, and I'm more flexible with my work.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I was actually talking to somebody else that I interviewed, and we were saying how important it is to have work that you don't publish to the world, something that's just yours, because that is what we're here for as artists. We're here to make this for us selfishly, and then if other people like it, great, but it's because it's coming from your soul. I think it has to be for yourself.
I think, yeah, I mean, so I have to sell my artwork because it's my full-time job, but if it's not, or if I had the luxury of, I mean, I don't put everything on, and a lot of things I do are private commissions, which I don't show people because they're private to the person that commissioned it, but if you think, oh, this is deeply private and personal, and it's an important piece of artwork to you. You don't have to put everything on social media. I mean, to me that seems so obvious because I didn't grow up with social media, but I can imagine, if you did, it is very different.
Yeah, 100%. I think we come from a world now where the more you put out there, the more likely you're going to make it. And having the knowledge that this is all I want to do, it's a difficult realization that you're then slightly stripping yourself bare. Obviously, luckily for me, I'm not one of these people who are trying to be like an influencer who puts their entire lives online. So there is just kind of that barrier of my art stuff, artists supporting artists, a bit of behind the scenes stuff, but it's never get ready with me in the morning, come with me for breakfast.
But don't you think that if you're an influencer, you're not actually putting your entire life online? You're putting a version of your entire life online. And you're not putting the part where you're just slobbing out.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're not going, let's get ready, because if you saw me get ready, you'd be like, oh my God, she's having a nervous breakdown. It's not oh, shall I wear this?
It's just grab it, chuck it on.
And oh my God, I can't be bothered to brush my hair today. I should do that. Let's get ready with me in 4 seconds. Yeah,
a wild, realistic get ready with me. Yeah, and I think, it's really important to remember that people aren't putting their entire selves online.
My son used to work in bars. Well, he still does. And he said people go in, order a cocktail for $20, take a photo of it,
don't even drink it,
and just walk out and leave it. That's not real life.
No, it's not real life.
It's a waste of money and cocktails.
Yes, and people do get caught up, I think, especially if you are that influencer, that the life that you've put online is your real life, and that nothing can be sloppy, and everything has to be, filmable every day, and nothing can be out of place. And oh my God, I could not do that. I'm very much, my mental health is better when everything's clean.
Yeah, me too.
And when everything's tidy.
You wouldn't think that in here.
But again, being an artist and 101 things going on in my mind, if there are dishes in the sink, there are dishes in the sink. And I don't care about that because I'm not putting that out there. And I think we all need to be more aware now of protecting ourselves. And I think what I find amazing about you is that you're doing what I want to do without social media. And that's very rare to find nowadays. A lot of people have only been able to become full-time artists, full-time singers, and whatever. They've made their dreams come true by going through social media. Oh, we were talking earlier that you
I do
struggled.
Use social media.
Yeah.
And it does help me a lot. And I was even saying to you just recently, after having a website for 25 years, I was like, let's see, if I temporarily close my website down how I go, because everyone just gets in touch with me on social media. But I don't do a very good job of I do a really bad job of social media, and somehow people still get in touch with me.
Yeah, and that's amazing. And we were saying earlier that one of the ways that you were able to get into set design was a woman coming up to you in the street. And even though now we have so much, we reach so many more people than we would ever on a daily basis, sometimes that human interaction is worth so much more, because you feel like you trust people more when you meet them in person rather than online. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I think human interaction and human-made things will always be so much more special than anything from AI or social media. There's just something about it. I mean, there's even evidence that looking at like a print of an artwork over looking at the original artwork, and they had all the things on people's heads, like the brain is so much more stimulated by the original than an exact same print. And I just think there's something that humans connect with other humans over everything else, and all the other stuff is useful and fun to use and experimental, but I don't think anything will ever touch that reality.
Yeah, 100%, because I also feel like I have a sense of calm when I walk into the Tate Britain.
Yeah.
There is, it's magical. There, the V&A, anywhere that is a gallery of artworks from people from yesteryear, from hundreds of years ago, and you stand there and you look at their paintings, and you could look at that same painting, you could Google that online,
exactly,
and look at it. It's not the same thing.
No.
It's not the same thing of being in the presence of an artwork that was also in the presence of the painter.
And I guess it's like being in the presence of a person as opposed to a person on the television or online or something. And I'm really glad that even online there is, that move towards being authentic and having that one-to-one contact, and not seeming like you're a bigger company than you really are, and actually being really personal and personable with your clients.
Just being real.
And being real and being one-to-one, and them going, hey, I'm buying off a small person and making a difference in their life, and having that connection and interaction.
Yeah, definitely, because it just means so much, because the big bosses, they don't care if somebody buys their t-shirt, but the person who actually, if they've gone out of their way to go to, fashion school, or learnt how to sew by their grandmother or something, and then they make a t-shirt and you buy it, that's so much more important to them than anybody who's just seeing the bank balance just go up and
as
up.
Someone who's spending the money, you feel really I've spent my money on something that's really lovely and special and handmade and commissioned or whatever, and I actually feel good about where that money has gone, rather than just to a big company that absorbs it and it doesn't mean anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you always get those little touches. You always get a little thank you
card,
or speaking
things inside.
Speaking to a person, how important that's been for them, or they even message you, or you get an email back saying, thank you so much for your purchase.
This is where I put my painting, and
exactly.
Yeah, it's a really sweet experience, and you always feel like I know that person a little bit, even if I've never met them and they live, thousands of miles away. It's just a really special little
Yeah, I have 2 paintings still in New Zealand, one in 2 separate cafes. And people still take pictures of them now and message me and be like, "It's you!
That's so
you!" And it's that's so special. That is so special, because whether they know me well or not, they feel like they know me well enough, which is what I'm trying to perceive through doing this. Is we're all human, we're all human.
Yeah, that's right.
And behind the screen is somebody, which you can make really happy, but you can also make really sad. And and luckily I've really only ever experienced happiness through people reaching out to me, and obviously the more people you follow, the more people that follow you, the more likely you're going to get hated on or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think going back to like staying true to your own art, that's, if I stay true to what I'm making, then I feel like people's comments can't really hurt me as badly, because I'm not putting on a facade of who I'm trying to be online. It's just like, this is my art, this is what I'm doing.
I think if you have it in your head, because I've thought about this a lot, and I have had hate, because you just do. If you did something and you were like, oh, that's rubbish, like, you know, you hope that you wouldn't put it out there. But if you did and people hated on it, that's when you should feel bad, because you're like, yeah, I actually did a really rubbish job.
It's just confirming.
Yeah. But if you know that you did something and you did a good job, and some people just hate because that's what they do for a kind of hobby behind their computers, or some people just hate it because they just hate it, and that's okay, because not everybody likes the same thing. But if you're like, no, like what I was asked to do, I did properly and I did a good job of it, then you shouldn't take it personally. I know that's easy to say, but that's kind of how I get through the hate.
Yeah, definitely. I feel if you're making something that pleases you, then the outside noise, whether it's good or bad, really. Because,
too.
You know,
right.
If it's true to you, if you're proud of yourself, and if the people closest to you are still proud of you because of it, I think, yeah, like you say, it can be somebody's hobby. You know, they might not even think for a second, like, oh, I'm not even going to care about what this person thinks, I'm just going to write this comment.
I saw this thing the other day, and it really was very interesting, and I was like, oh, thank you for posting that. And this guy called Adam, and he lives on a narrowboat. He has loads and loads of followers, and he does a great job on social media. But he said that somebody said something really awful to him, and he put like a thumbs up, or like an acknowledgement that he'd seen it. But he's a really lovely, sweet person, polite. And then that person immediately messaged him back and said, oh my God, like, I am so sorry. I never thought you were actually going to see that message. I just get up in the morning and I feel full of all this angst and anger, and I just go on social media and I just say like really nasty things to whoever's come up on my feed just to get it out for me. Oh, wow. And so there's that too.
Journal.
Yeah, I know, just don't. But I was like, okay, that's also another thing. So someone might not like your work, someone might just like hating.
Yeah, it's
just
always
like
a
hating. It's my hobby.
You know, it's always a projection.
Yeah.
It always says a lot more.
Because I always think if I hated something, I would just not look at it.
Keep it to yourself. Scroll past.
Yeah.
Like, who cares? And you know, even if somebody came to a show and they didn't like it, they wouldn't. If the artist,
they don't need to set fire to
yeah, exactly. But also, like, if the artist was stood right there and the artist came up to you and was like, "Do you like the show?" You'd probably be like, "Yeah, it's great." And then afterwards, you'd be like, "Oh shit." But you wouldn't do it to their face in real life, you know.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I would prefer somebody said it to my face. Just because then, and then also I'm like, you know, why don't you like it? Just so I can have feedback or constructive criticism. But I also think this, so if everybody likes your work, it's not really doing its job, because it's just a bit bland.
Yeah.
So as long as you have enough people that like your work, that you can make a living from it. Like, if something is liked, it also means it's hated. Like coriander.
Yeah. Marmite.
Yeah, Marmite. All of those things. So so you're doing the right thing. If some people hate your work and some people love your work, that's where you want to be.
It's evoking emotion.
Because if everyone just kind of likes it, they're probably not going to like it enough to buy it and part with their hard-earned money. So you need like that proportion of people that really love it enough to go, I work hard for a living and I'm actually going to spend some money with you on your artwork.
Yeah. Because like you say, it's evoking some kind of emotion.
Yeah,
whether
that's
it's good or bad, and like, it's not our business what other people think of us.
That's right, and it's out of their control as well.
Yeah, definitely. Do you still paint for you? Like, are there times where you make, like, when was the last time you did a painting where you were like, oh, I have an idea and I'm going to do it? Or has everything lately been commission?
So just lately I have been doing a lot of commissions. Actually, that's a good question, because just last week, so I'm working on a big oil painting at the moment, which means I can only do so much per day because then I have to wait for it to dry.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing some smaller oil paintings while the bigger oil painting, which is a commission, is drying. Yeah, and I actually am doing some paintings to sell, but that are my thoughts from my head. Because the last few years I have, or the last couple of years at least, I've been doing commissions for bigger things, like for the hospital, for different companies and things like that. So, but I love doing a bit of everything, and I'm also working like for the theatre, doing sets and props and things too. So I get bored really easily, so I kind of like mixing it up.
Yeah, 100. I'm the same. I get bored very easily.
I think, like, if somebody said if you could pick one thing and that's what you do forever, I could.
Yeah.
Because after a little while, I'd be like, oh no, I want to do the other thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's why I've travelled so much. It's just because I'm like, I love the thought of somewhere else, and then when I'm at that place, I'm loving the thought of somewhere else.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
So what would you say has been your biggest creative triumph?
What would that be? My son.
Yeah.
I made him.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, biggest accomplishment.
Being able to, like, I know this sounds a bit boring, but just being able to do this every day.
That's not boring.
Is you know, like, you kind of take it for granted sometimes. Oh, you can work and make more stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, basically that's amazing, and I dreamt, you know, that was the dream, and I'm super lucky, and every time someone asks me to do something for them, I just feel like, thank you for thinking of me, and yeah, that would just be it, like, just being able to do this.
I mean, you are living my dream, so that is, you know, it's huge.
Because I'm old. When you're my age, you'll be living bigger dreams than me.
Oh, well, who knows? But yeah, so how do you split your time? Do you do it like a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday? Or?
So I do. I used to work crazy hours. So I used to work like 12-hour days, and for a while I worked 7 days a week when I was younger, and I had a lot more energy, drank a lot more coffee. And I was also, you know, trying harder because I was younger and I wasn't in a position, like I was saying to you earlier. I didn't have a workshop. I was just working under my house in the mud and stuff, or in my lounge room and things like that. But now I do 9 to 5. I just don't have the energy to do it longer. And yeah, like, we had lockdown, and I was teaching as well, and then I was coming back into my studio, like making dinner, because my son was younger, he's left home and everything now, and then coming back into my studio till like 10 o'clock every night, just exhausted. And I actually had the opportunity and was doing all these amazing jobs and very lucky and interesting things, but I wasn't enjoying any of it because I was exhausted all the time. So, you know, like, if you're exhausted all the time, it's kind of like if you had chocolate all the time, you'd just be like, oh my god.
Yeah, I don't want any more chocolate.
Yeah, and so I was just too tired to enjoy it. But as much as, you know, it is important to enjoy your life, which I also found out.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we had lockdown, and then that was only for a couple of months, but then I wasn't well for a couple of years after that. And then I thought, all right, I don't have as much energy as I did have, and how can I enjoy my day? And it's by not working too many hours. Also, like, this is worth bearing in mind, like, you're working with chemicals, you know, and you have to be careful, and spending that many hours working with chemicals can be really dangerous. And I got lung cancer, so I really, it actually affects women a lot more than men. So for any ladies working with oils and terps and things like that, just be so careful, because honestly, it's not worth it.
Yeah, that's a really good piece of advice, and I think that's something that people don't. Obviously, it's something that has, you know, probably made you slow down a bit.
Oh, it definitely made me slow down a bit because chemotherapy just took it out of me.
Yeah.
I'm glad I had all the treatments.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Queensland Health and my friends, for getting me through it. But also, then I was depleted.
Yeah.
And now I have more of an understanding on how to manage my energy as well. And also, I'm like nearly 53, so.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I just don't. I kind of still think I'm 19.
Yeah.
Like work-wise, but I've come to go. Listen, if you want to be able to work all day tomorrow, then you can't work really crazy hard and for stupid amounts of hours today.
And I felt
which is probably why a 9 to 5 day exists.
Yeah. Really, like I woke up this morning and I was so excited to come over to see your studio, to have a talk with you, but I was so tired. And yeah, it's because, I'm working a job which isn't art, and then trying to do art around that, and then, artists supporting artists, and I put the things on my plate, so, I can take them off if I want to, but Dom and I were talking about this yesterday. We were just walking to the shop, and he was saying, because I don't want to be a content creator, like that's not my goal. I know a lot of people who do want to be content creators and artists. I just want to be an artist. So the second that if I ever become able to employ somebody, the first thing I'm doing is employing them to do my social media, because I don't want anything to do with it.
Except you would, because earlier on you were like, I'm a control freak.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. That is true.
I need to do all
that
this.
is true. But like all of the
engaging
and putting up things like, run it by me. But anyway, and then Dom was like, but even if you then took that off your plate, you would just bring on another project.
So that was me. If I would dream of having a bit of spare time because I was exhausted, I'll just fill it up. But I wouldn't fill it up with one thing. I'd fill it up with like if it was marshmallows, you were squishing them into a space. And it was like, I just can't help myself. What's wrong with me?
Yeah, I'm the same. I just can't. I have to keep doing stuff. And because we're creative and we're imaginative people, it's like, but I've just had another idea.
I know.
And like when I go back to the UK, it's not just, I don't just have paint anymore. I've got my potter's wheel and I've got all of this. And it's like, so even if I stopped doing like the social media side of it and I just focused on, editing the podcast and stuff like that, I'd then be like, right, okay, but what can I do now? Because I'm such a busy person. I have to stay busy, and like I'm not a huge complainer. Like I'll never go to work and complain about the fact that I go to work. Luckily, I love my job, so that's good. But I'm just like a whirlwind all the time, and then if I don't have time and I'm too tired in the night, then I'm still thinking to myself, okay, well, I'm gonna go to bed now so I get enough hours in. But then in my head I'm like, but then I'll wake up at 5:30. So actually I'm not getting the same amount. I'm still getting the same amount of hours as if I worked until 10 o'clock at night. But in my head it's different because I'm waking up early and it's like kicking me out of bed rather than the slog to get through it to then go to bed.
Yeah, like I'd wake up in the night with an idea and I'd be like, okay, So it was like 2 a.m. and I'd try and go back to sleep. And then I was like, I can't go back to sleep. So I would come down here and just start working on something. And I remember one day my neighbour, who must have got up early for work or whatever, or to go to the loo maybe, sent a picture of like me in my workshop, a photo to me as a text, and was like, what the fuck? And I was like, oh my god, you just see me in my pyjamas making stuff. So I've got curtains there now.
They can't see. That's so funny.
But no, I did also think, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But my brain was just overflowing, and I was trying to make every idea I had. And then I realised, and this was before I even got cancer, I'm not going to live long enough to because the thing is, like, I might have 10 ideas one day. I can't make 10 ideas in a day.
Yeah.
But then the next day I'll have 20 ideas, and then the next day, like, now I've got like 450 ideas all backed up. Yeah. And then I thought, okay, you can't do all of those ideas, so you just have to pick your favourite ones, or the best ones, or the ones that will pay the mortgage, mix it up a bit.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I see a lot of people and they do like beautiful sketchbook art, right? And all of their sketchbook is like stunning.
Oh, gorgeous.
Mine is not like that. Mine is an idea dump just to get it out of my
Me too,
brain.
just to remember it as well and to get it out. Because I often sort of show someone a sketch and I think, oh my God, like if they hadn't already seen my work,
They'd be like, what is that?
I'm not getting you to do any artwork for me. I'm like a stodgy stick man.
Yeah.
It's not even a good stick man. And like it's only that I trust that they've seen enough of my work that they will understand or accept.
So do you feel now that you've cut down a bit on your time that you spend in here, do you still get as much done as you did before?
Oh my God, I used to... No, the answer is no, because I would do a job in the day, an art class, and then a whole nother job at night.
Oof.
So I might work in the day on an exhibition, and then an art class, and then for the theatre at night. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I did get a phenomenal amount of work done, and that really was hard for me to let go of, like how much I used to be able to do, but
health's more important.
And don't let your health get that bad.
Exactly.
Before you have an epiphany of like, oh, maybe I need to slow down a bit, and I do think as well, like the amount of hours that I was spending with glues and paints. I've got like every kind of paint, and just being around that for sometimes 16-hour days, like that's just not healthy.
What do you do now? Do you have ventilation?
So now I only do oil paintings in the winter, and I have my workshop open, plus I have, because this is a good question, I'm glad you asked, because I only really want to talk about having non-smokers lung cancer, because it may just plant a seed in someone else's head.
Yeah, definitely.
So I have this air purifier, which is a hospital grade air purifier that's for like welders and things like that, so really hardcore stuff. I wear a mask. Like loads of my friends, it's just one of those things that may or may not affect you. Like loads of my friends don't wear masks and work with chemicals for hours too. But if you don't know you're vulnerable.
Just take the precaution.
Yeah, just honestly, I was laying in bed for 6 months thinking, oh God. I actually even thought like, I wish I hadn't done this with my life. I wish I worked in a shop or something, because I wouldn't be going through this. That's how bad it was. And I really love my job so much. It's my life, but that's where I was at, where like it's not worth your life. It really isn't. And also, it really hurt more than I thought was possible. Like the pain and the whole experience it's not worth your life. No. So just take those precautions and ventilation, and just be sensible. Like I was not sensible. Like, and I take responsibility for that, and I also take responsibility for how I work going into the future. And look, that may not make a difference because of the nature of cancer, but I'm like, well, it's never coming back. But I'm in remission. But I just want to know that I have done everything I can. So I can't go, oh, if only you'd done that one thing. Like, no one can control what's happening in the future, but I can at least think I did what I could. With the knowledge that I have now.
And I think that's really important, because I think, before Tanya told me, I would never have thought about that.
Tanya and Shane, oh my God, they were my superheroes. Tanya made chemotherapy for everyone in the room so much fun that I can't tell you how much I hated chemotherapy, but I have such fond memories of it, and I know other people do too, because she did quizzes. She made it so fun, and on the days when it wasn't fun because I was really poorly, she'd stand there fanning me for hours, and Shane picking me up and driving me. Oh my God, they were my absolute superheroes.
Yeah, they're amazing people, and I think, in times like that, you really... I mean, I know that they're amazing people anyway, for the stuff that they've done for us.
Yeah, they are to everyone, not just... they're such fantastic people.
Yeah, and for anybody, if they have a Tanya, don't let them go.
Exactly.
Because, she would do anything for anybody. And I think, just to be able to have that kind of support, whether it's a friend or a family member or just somebody to help you get through stuff like that. Because like you say, with non-smokers' lung cancer, it's not like it's a huge surprise. You know, if you were a smoker and you got lung cancer, you'd kind of be like, that sucks, but also like, it does say it on the packet.
Yeah,
you know?
and there's even pictures.
Yeah, so it's
all
like...
the kinds of things that can go wrong,
Yeah,
I know.
so whereas, you know, you're an artist, you're a non-smoker, and with this, you know, being people's lives, they immerse themselves in it so much, and yeah, they wear themselves out, and because they just want their dreams to come true, you don't think about it.
No, and that's true. Like, I didn't realise. I kind of feel like I should have, and I feel like my body was telling me, and even my brain was like, oh, there's a lot of fumes in here, you know. But it's just paints, you know, people work with paints all the time. I feel like everything was telling me, but my personality was like, that'll be right.
I'll be fine.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know if anyone else this has happened to, it'll be fine, but you know.
Yeah.
I'm kind of annoyed with myself for like that. But at the same time, I have noticed recently, so I think my main problem was mineral terps, like the vapors from that. But just recently, like really, really recently, all the places where I would buy my art materials online, for instance, and even if I was going to the shop, I might see, because I now use a odorless terps, and I still wear a mask for that and everything. But yeah, they have started to talk about health risks with mineral terps and different things, because I already had just started to see that some women thought that they were getting breast cancer from it.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was like, kind of had that in the back of my head. And I'd always had cough. I had like whooping cough when I was a kid, and so if ever I got sick, I got a cough. But yeah, and I kind of just took it for granted that I'd get coughs and didn't take it. I should have done more. Yeah. But like you say, you just don't realise, and I don't know, like I was 49, I just didn't dream that.
Were you was it coughing a lot? Is that what made you go to the doctors? Yeah, I was coughing all the
time. Well, in fairness to me, I had gone to some doctors and said, look, I can't stop coughing, and I can't sleep at night. Like, I haven't slept for 2 weeks. I'm coughing all night, and they were like a 24-hour medical centre, because at the time I didn't have my own GP, which I now realise is super important to have a doctor that knows you. And they were like, what do you want, sleeping tablets? And I was like,
no, I want you to sort out this cough.
Yeah, and they were like, well, we can't hear anything. And I could tell that they thought that I just came to get sleeping tablets. So I got really annoyed, and I thought a couple of things. Firstly, I felt angry, like, because I could tell they didn't believe me. And then I thought, maybe I have munchausen's. Maybe. And then I was like, maybe I've got Tourette's, but instead of like swearing or a tick, I cough.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe I'm coughing for attention. And then I was like, I don't think I am, though, because I'm at work all by myself, so no one even knows. And I had all these weird thoughts. And the first thing that happened when I got told on the telephone that I had lung cancer, well, they didn't say that. They said, we think you have, so there's a couple of things. We think you have a malignant tumour in your lung. So I thought that was a benign tumour, and I was like, oh, thank God. Like, you know, cool, we'll just leave it then. And the doctor's like, no. And this was, again, a really great doctor, but I didn't have my own GP at the time, and so I just carried on working. And then I was like, I thought that the good tumour, which there's no good tumour really, but the better tumour to have began with the letter B. I googled it, and then I was like, oh my God. And then I felt really bad that this poor doctor was trying to explain to me. He was like, let me be clear, you have a malignant tumour in your lung. And I was like, sweet as, no problem. Yeah.
He must have been like, wow, like my day was going to go really badly, but it went great today.
Well, he must have been like, these English girls are really like okay about stuff or something. Anyway, so then when I found out properly what it was, I actually felt like, a weird sense of relief, because I was like, at least I'm not making it up.
Yeah.
Which I can't believe that was my go-to thought. But yeah, I was like, so I wasn't making it up.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, thank God it was caught, and you're
I'm
fine.
so lucky, yeah.
But
so
also,
lucky.
if you're not a hypochondriac, you should be like, you should really think to yourself like, no, I really think there's something wrong here.
And also that is another thing that I learned, because a couple of times I left the doctors and was like,
yeah.
And then I thought, no, it's up to me to go, all right, I need to find another doctor because I feel that there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And not just go home and think, oh, well, I'll go and die.
Yeah.
Because basically that's what was happening. Or I must be mentally unstable and I'm making it up.
Yeah. So did you manage to paint, like, were you creating at all when you were, were you drawing at least, or?
So as soon as I had my lung out in Townsville, I came home and I just sat upstairs. I wasn't allowed to go up and downstairs. I sat upstairs and just did watercolours, because so bored.
Yeah.
And when you just want to do something that makes you feel normal.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
It is actually really, really boring being ill. That was the main takeaway. I'm bored. So I did that, and that wasn't too bad. And then when I had chemotherapy, I was like, yeah, I'm going to work while I've got chemotherapy. Told everyone that. Then I had one lot of chemotherapy, because I googled it, can you work on chemotherapy? And it was like, yes, but, and I just read yes. So anyway, I had one lot of chemotherapy. I was like, okay, this is, oh my God, it was like my brain fell out, which apparently is quite common, and my brain is still not quite where it was. Maybe that's a good thing. But yeah, and I had a week off of chemotherapy every few weeks, and I did do some work then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't have a realistic
it's just exhausting
understanding of how terrible it was. But it was worth it, because I'm fine now.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah. So I would never want to ever put anyone off of having chemotherapy. Do it, it's your life.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, it wasn't fun.
No, I mean, yeah.
And no, I don't know why.
Nobody's buying a ticket to go to chemo.
I actually said to my son at one stage, God, I can't believe people go out on the weekends and do drugs. And he goes, Mum, no one's going out on the weekend and doing chemotherapy.
Yeah. What's your drug of choice? Chemo.
Yeah. I was like, okay, there must be some good drugs too. I don't know.
Yeah. Wow. God. So crazy.
But yeah, so just be mindful of that. Find out some information. Wear a mask. Like, I've got a really hardcore mask, which is really uncomfortable, but I also have the thinner mask just for, I'm so you kind of breathe through my mouth a bit. So yeah, just be mindful, and with chemicals and things.
Yeah.
And especially paint thinners, anything that's paint thinnery, just be careful.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a really good takeaway.
I also think people that do nail technician stuff.
Yeah,
all of that and all that dust.
Yeah.
There's so many I went past the dry cleaners yesterday and I was like, oh my God, that smell in the dry cleaners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really think we need to.
A lot of people take smells as clean.
Yeah.
Oh my
God, I was always bleaching everything
bleaches
too.
and everything like that. And it wasn't until I became older and started cleaning things myself where I was like, this is so unhealthy. I bet I try and live a very non-toxic life.
Exactly.
So vinegar, lemon, baking powder, and bicarb, and we've kind of been. And it
kind of works better.
It does. It definitely does.
Honestly, I didn't think it would, but I love that stuff now.
We've kind of been brainwashed into the smell of clean, which is that really toxic chemicals, but especially living in the van, we don't want any chemicals in there because we'd be fumed out. And everybody, growing up, I always just assumed when you're fumed, you just feel a bit funny and you get a little bit high or whatever, and that it's always a joke of you'll fume yourself or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, but actually, if you think about it, that's going into your lungs and that's going through your sinuses and everything like that, all of the things it's the amount of stuff that we get sold on a daily basis for this, and you need this for this, and you need this, and you need this, and you need this, and it's actually, I don't need it. I really don't need that. I don't need to, water and a bit of soap. It will do
exactly.
enough, you know.
But honestly, I loved cleaning products when I wasn't painting. Oh my god, like I can't believe I'm alive. But be careful, don't be like me. Just do whatever I say on this podcast. You will be happy.
But I think also with COVID, you know, people then got really into
I was
germs.
20-20ing everything.
Yeah, crazy.
So Noah was living at home and working at the supermarket. So he was really busy with work, and he would come home and I was like, put your clothes in a bucket, because I already knew like I had a cough and I knew COVID could affect your chest, and then I was like Glen 20 and everything. I'm like, oh.
No, it's crazy. It's so crazy. But yeah, it's something. I think, you know, I mainly work with acrylics right now because I'm traveling. It's easier because they dry faster, but even, you know, they have chemicals in them. So yeah, I guess we're just with whatever you're using, make sure that you're reading it, making sure you have good ventilation.
And now there is more information, you know, like literally just in the last year and a half, there's more information about different types of terps. Like if you really have to use, you know, terps, which you kind of do if you're using oils, just look for the safest version.
Yeah.
And it does, honestly, it costs so much more than a big bottle of terps, but there's no amount of money that is not worth taking that risk. You know, even the fact I had 6 months off work and then took another year to feel normal, you know, if you even just calculate that time as money or your life, just don't do it.
Yeah, just invest in stuff that's good for you.
And also just don't believe it will never happen to you, because that's basically what I did. Yeah, I'm happy go unlucky.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I think everybody thinks, oh, but not me. Not me.
You do.
You know, one of my Cameron, she just had melanoma.
Yeah.
And it was like, and you know, touch wood, she's fine. She's going in for another operation next week to get the margin to make sure that, you know, it hasn't spread. But you know, she's 22. She's 22. She lived in Australia for 2 years.
Right.
So yeah, okay, she's a bit of a sun worshipper, but
you know,
as a 22-year-old only living in this kind of UV climate.
What 22-year-old doesn't like the sun?
Exactly. So, you know, and you just think like, oh, like it wouldn't happen to me. And my dad is.
You wouldn't even go to another country or drive a car if you did think, oh, this could happen to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's part of life as well.
Yeah, and nice. You know, my dad is a sun worshipper, like really big sun worshipper. So then when that happened, like I called him and I was like, because I spoke to Mum first and she was like, oh yeah, and your father was trying to buy coconut oil for our trip to Cyprus. So I get on the phone with Dad because he was at work and I was like, don't you dare, this has just happened to Cameron, blah 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 blah. And he's like, oh fine, whatever. But you know, and it's just one of those things, like, yeah, nobody thinks it's going to happen to them.
Yeah, no one would do anything. No one would drink an alcoholic drink, smoke a cigarette.
Yeah, no, literally, you know, you'd barely leave your house.
Yeah, that's right. And look, I managed to not leave my house and give myself lung cancer, so
Yeah, I think, you know, you can't save yourself from everything. Everybody says everything's going to give you cancer, whatever.
And everything does. Yeah. So that's why you just have to go, okay, how many hours am I spending working with this? Have I got some ventilation? Yeah. Just basic stuff.
Just basic precautions.
Yeah, just basic stuff. And also, if you've got a gut instinct that something's wrong, your gut instinct is correct, and you have to make sure that you follow that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, you know, that works with art anyway.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. I did it every day for work and then not for that.
Yeah. Oh, this piece isn't going to work out, so I'm going to move on. But and then you trust your gut with that, but then you don't trust your gut with it.
Even though my head was like, do you reckon it's okay, all these fumes? Because my friends would come in and go, oh, you know how the smell of something?
You just get blind to it.
After 2 minutes, you can't even smell it anymore because you're just used to it. Yeah, so just be aware.
Yeah. So it's me. I do this thing on the podcast where we do like a quick fire 3.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you 3 questions and you just get to answer them
straight up.
Okay. So the first one is, what is your favourite animal to paint, draw, whatever?
Okay, I think it's kangaroos.
Really?
Just because I'm like that.
What? I thought it was me.
I thought you were a kangaroo. Because every day I see kangaroos because I go for a walk up the road. I've been in Australia since 1996, but every time I see a kangaroo, which is every day, I saw 2 yesterday, I'm still like this. Oh my god, kangaroo! I'm in Australia, And so I just think I love that little bit of excitement, and still can't believe that that's still so new and exciting for me, and I love that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, we saw Ruse maybe the third day we were here. We drove down to Dom's brother's house, and there were like loads in his driveway, and it was magical because they live
amazing.
Yeah, they live on like this farm ranch kind of place, and it was just like, oh my god, like we are really in Australia right now. Because I'd never seen the kangaroo, because I don't go to zoos or anything. I'm vegan, so so I don't do zoos. So I'd never seen the kangaroo
that
ever.
Is so cool.
And I was just like, oh my god. And then it wasn't just one. There was like literally maybe 10.
It's almost like, are you exaggerating? Like,
Yeah.
Did you just get these in for us?
Yeah. Are they paid actors?
Yeah. And it's so, unusual and different from an animal, in England.
Yeah.
Because firstly, they have like a little kangaroo in a pond.
I know. It's so wild. I think also because like growing up with, Steve Irwin and people like that, and having knowledge of, what was over the other side of the world, but we didn't really have anything like that. And I'm sure it's vice versa as well, that we have stuff, in the UK that they don't have here, and they'll go over and be like, oh my god. Yeah, exactly. So just seeing that, being like, oh, like, I've always known that they exist, and like koalas, I've not yet seen a koala in the wild, I don't think, but we're going to go over to Magnetic Island.
Do you know, I have not seen a koala in the wild, and I have been with people and they're like, in Sydney, there's a koala, and I'm like, missed it, like, yeah.
And like the other day we went to the Daintree and we did like the riverboat tour, and we saw all the crocodiles.
Did you see a cassowary?
No, we didn't. But hopefully we're going to go to Mission Beach.
Amazing. Oh, you'll see one there.
So hopefully we'll see one there. But yeah, I didn't even like really register what a cassowary was until I got here.
I got here and then I was working for tourism, and they were like, can you paint, this and a cassowary? And I was like, what's a cassowary? Had to go to the library and photocopy pages because it was before the internet. And I was like, this can't exist.
Yeah, this does not exist.
This is from the Jurassic period.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm really excited to see one of them, because I just think
they're just so gorgeous. Their feathers are so glossy, and yeah, they're just crazy amazing.
Because there's only because when we were at the Daintree, there was like a sign about cassowaries and everything, and there's only like 1,500 left.
Yeah, it's really, and the worst thing is the most likely place to see them is actually crossing the road.
Yeah,
because we're in the roads and not just like out in the bushes. But I'm just like, please don't go in the road.
I know. I
saw one the other day with 2 babies, which was just so amazing. But I was like, they're in the road.
Yeah,
and they were crossing so slowly.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone was waiting for them, and it was in the Daintree and loving it. But yeah, it's just like, don't go to the road.
Yeah, don't go to the road. But then they don't know that's the road, because before it was just, we made that road. But also, like, when we were seeing the crocodiles, we saw this, like, honestly, it was like this big baby crocodile.
So cute too, because they got a little stubby.
I know. And like, but one in 1,000 crocodiles make it.
Yeah,
and they don't start to get like the people on the river. They don't start to get like attached to the crocs until they're like 5 years old, 4 or 5, because within that period they can get eaten by birds or eaten by other crocs or anything. So so they have to.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they have to wait. And the guy who was, we had a really amazing guy called David, and he owns, he works for it, but I think he owns it, Solar Whisper, so that's like a fully electric boat, so it doesn't disrupt them, but also because he's been doing it for like 25 years, they know the sound of his voice and they know the sound of the boat, so when he can come up really close alongside them, and if that was any other boat, they'd go under the water and they'd hide, but because they know it's him, they're very intelligent animals.
Yeah, they are.
When they hear that it's him, they're fine. They know that they're not under any threat because they know his voice, they know the sound of the boat and everything. So when they give birth, he can't be attached to any of the babies until they're like 4 or 5. And then there was this one, and she was 25 because she had been there when he started. She was like the first hatchling that he had like met when he was there. She was called Elizabeth, and yeah, she was there the entire time, and then last year someone shot her.
Oh no, I heard about that, but I didn't know it was Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, that's just horrible. And crocodiles live up to 100, and you just think, oh, why?
Yeah, and because the population of crocodiles are increasing now because they're,
people want to kill them.
They want to kill them because they're like, but they were never here. And it's like, well, they were. Like, they've been here for millions of years. It was just that they were on the brink of extinction, so you didn't see any of them at your favourite beach in the 70s.
And also there was culling, there had been a culling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you've been at this beach your entire life and you've never seen a crocodile there, and now you see a crocodile there, that's because the numbers are growing and they're just going back to where they're from.
It's not like they're coming to your house, breaking in.
Yeah. It's like they're just going back to the places that they've been for millions of years.
Yeah, they're in their own environment that you're in. They're not in your environment.
So it's just sad. But luckily, it's good to know that there are people like David and
fantastic.
The National Park crew of the Daintree, and they are trying to preserve them as much, because it is illegal to shoot a crocodile. But it does unfortunately happen because nothing's going to stop people in the middle of the night seeing a croc and killing it. But anyway, that's sad. So my second question is, if you could, how would you describe your art style in 3 words?
Okay, colourful, a story, and personal.
Personal, yeah.
So even like everything I do, I make it personal to me, and even if you wouldn't necessarily know that, like if you asked me, I would say, like that is something that happened, and I've translated it into a painting that you might not know that was the thing that happened, or the story behind that. But yeah, every single piece I do, I put a piece of my story into it. That's real, a real thing that's happened.
That's amazing. That's so cool. I love that. And my last one is, what is next for you?
What is next for me? So, I knew you might ask something like this, because I was like, I don't know. So at the moment I am doing some stuff with the theatre, and I have some plans to do some more stuff the rest of the year. I've got a few jobs like on the go, but I'm not really allowed to talk about them. That's the problem. Otherwise I could just tell you. And I intend to keep working and pacing myself, so that I can do a 5-day week without flogging myself too much.
So good. Lesson learned.
Getting back to normal, and I do feel like this year especially, I'm getting my vibe back.
Yeah, your mojo.
Yeah, and also my brain. Like, my brain was deeply affected by the medicine I had at the hospital, chemotherapy, and now I feel like I'm getting it back again.
That's so
I was still in there, but it was like a muffledness to it. And I normally was like really clear thinking. I always had a really good memory, and I just really lost all of that. And that was probably the hardest part of all of it, was the brain thing, because then I was like, I'm not even me anymore.
I've gone through all of this and I don't feel like myself.
Yeah, and then they said, it will come back. But then after 2 years, I was like, I don't believe you. But it has. And I did lots of things I learned new things. And that, to try and reactivate my brain. Yeah. So I made sure I learned some new things, and Tanya got me into doing yoga, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to learn to do some stuff on the computer, because I was computer illiterate apart from sending emails, and so I'm trying to, do that.
Broaden your horizons.
Yeah, and also, apparently that kickstarts your brain.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
That's so good.
I'm feeling like me again.
That's so good. And I think it's really
helped.
No, I really think it's an important thing to take away from it, is that I just don't think people talk about that ever. Like, people think that when you get better, well, then you're better, so you should feel better.
And look, there's different types of chemotherapy, which I never knew either, and so some of them, when you stop taking them, you can just feel better really quickly. Yeah. And then it affects different people differently, but it just stopped. Like, it's like my brain just emptied, and there was nothing in there. No memories, couldn't hold a conversation, couldn't remember a sentence, had no ideas. Yeah, and I just felt like this much of me was left inside, and now I'm like nearly filling up my whole body again.
That's so good. That's so good. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been amazing.
It's been nice speaking to you.
Yeah, it's just been so nice to be able to be in your space and just see where you work every day and what you do, and yeah, just learning more about not only just your art but you, because obviously my big thing is showing that there is people behind the art and behind the success, because you are a very successful artist, and yeah, you inspire me a lot, and I really do look up to you.
Thank you, and you inspire me too, your energy and all your ideas and doing this, so I'm totally inspired by you too.
Thank you.
Thank you again to Hayley for having me in her studio and for being so vulnerable and honest about her journey. I hope this episode brings awareness to the dangers that can come about whilst being a full-time artist and using different chemicals. So if you're listening to this, please be careful. A reminder that episodes of Artists Supporting Artists comes out every Tuesday, so make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you don't miss an episode. Thank you, love you, bye!